All right, everybody, welcome back for another deep dive. And, today we're tackling something that seems so basic.
Yeah.
But I think you're going to be surprised by how much nuance there really is to it.
Right.
We're talking about introductions.
Introductions.
We all do them all the
Sure.
time, but we're going to go beyond just, the how-tos and really dissect the subtle signals we're sending without even realizing it.
I think that's what's so fascinating about language, right?
Absolutely.
There's always more than meets the eye.
So to guide us on this journey, we're turning to an episode from the podcast English Chat with Emma and Jack.
Oh, I love them.
They're fantastic, and they do a great job of breaking down English for learners. But this particular episode, even I learned a ton from.
Yeah, they're really good at pointing out those things that we just do instinctively as native speakers that we don't even think about.
So let's start with the absolute basics, the greetings.
Yep.
Emma and Jack lay out three main ones. Hi, my name is Alec.
Hello.
And of course, the classic, hey, I'm nice to meet you. I mean, we've all used these a million times, but do you think there's a difference in how they come across?
Oh, absolutely. Each one kind of sets a different tone right off the bat.
Okay. I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
Well, think about it. Hi, it's friendly,
Yeah.
approachable, kind of casual. Hello, a little more formal, maybe something you'd use in a job interview.
No, that's true.
And then, hey, I'm nice to meet you. That's like you're adding a little extra enthusiasm.
Right.
You're signaling that you're engaged, you're happy to be there.
Like, I'm really interested in meeting you.
Exactly.
Huh. Okay. So I'm already starting to overthink all my past introductions.
Right.
Like, have I been using the wrong greeting all this time?
I don't think there's a right or wrong necessarily.
Okay.
It's more about being aware of the subtle messages you're sending
Gotcha.
and choosing the greeting that best fits the situation and your personality.
So it's like a balance of social norms and personal style.
Totally.
Okay. So once we've navigated the initial greeting, then comes the part where we actually learn each other's names. And Emma and Jack cover a few options here too.
Mm-hmm.
What's your name?
Classic.
May I ask your name?
A little more formal.
And you, what's your name?
Yeah, that one's good for when you've already introduced yourself.
Exactly. So I'll be honest, I've probably used all of these interchangeably without giving it much thought, but I'm sensing that maybe I should be paying more attention.
Well, they all work, but I think, may I ask your name is the one that really stands out.
How so?
It's interesting because it kind of shifts the power dynamic a little bit.
Oh, tell me more about that.
You're asking permission, right?
Right.
Which implies that the other person has a certain authority.
I see what you mean.
It's more formal, respectful, often used in professional settings or when you're talking to someone older.
Like I wouldn't ask my boss, what's your name?
Probably not the best idea.
Okay, so I'm starting to see how these seemingly small choices in phrasing can actually have a big impact on how the interaction unfolds.
Exactly. It's about signaling respect, establishing rapport, and making a good first impression.
No pressure, right?
Well, it's not always easy, but that's why practice is so important.
And speaking of practice, I love that Emma and Jack use role-playing scenarios in their podcast.
Oh, me too. It's such a good way to learn.
Because it forces you to actually use the phrases in context.
You're right, and you start to internalize those subtle cues.
So when you're in a real-life situation, you're more prepared.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've covered how to introduce ourselves and how to ask someone their name. But what about when we're introducing other people?
Ah, yes, the classic, this is my friend.
Right, or let me introduce you to...
Meet my colleague.
So many options. But again, I bet there's more to it than meets the eye.
There is. It all comes down to how you frame the relationship.
Ooh, I like that.
Because calling someone your friend versus your colleague paints a very different picture in the listener's mind.
Right, you're not just giving a name, you're providing context.
Exactly. And that context influences how they perceive the interaction and even how they might behave towards the person you're introducing.
So it's like you're subtly directing the social flow.
Precisely.
Wow, this is blowing my mind.
It's fun to think about, right?
It is. All right, so last but not least, let's talk about how we respond when someone is introduced to us.
Okay.
Emma and Jack highlight a few common phrases. Nice to meet you.
It's a pleasure to meet you.
Great to meet you.
Yeah.
I feel like I tend to overuse, it's a pleasure to meet you, even when I'm not exactly feeling overwhelmed with pleasure.
Well, we all have our go-to phrases.
But do you think people can tell if I'm being insincere?
It's not always about being completely transparent, right?
True.
Sometimes we use these phrases to smooth social interactions, even if our true feelings are more neutral.
Like social lubrication.
Exactly. But it's still interesting to consider how those choices shape our image and influence how others perceive us.
Right, because Even if I'm not feeling super enthusiastic, if I say, great to meet you with a big smile,
Yeah,
that's going to create a different impression than if I just mumble, nice to meet you.
definitely. It's all about the energy you're putting out there.
So I think the big takeaway here is that even something as seemingly simple as introductions is a powerful communication tool.
Absolutely.
We're constantly sending subtle signals, shaping perceptions and influencing social dynamics.
It's like having a secret decoder ring for human interaction.
I love this. So for everyone listening, I challenge you to pay extra attention to introductions this week.
Ooh, good challenge.
Notice the words people use, their tone of voice, their body language.
Mm.
You might be surprised by how much you can learn about someone just from those first few moments of interaction.
I think you'll be amazed.
All right, well, that's all the time we have for today's deep dive.
Great stuff.
But we'll be back soon with more linguistic adventures.
Can't wait.
See you then.